Now, we'll take a trip back in time and get to know a little bit about the archaeological history of Santos, a city located on the coast of the state of São Paulo in Brazil. Historic downtown. Santos is one of the few cities in Brazil that we know exactly the place it began, in Orteiro da Santa Catarina in 1545. Archaeologist Eliete Pythágoras was a great supporter of the preservation of archaeological heritage in the municipality. The researches she carried out in the 1980s and 1990s showed a little of the city at the beginning of colonization. The remains of the Igreja da Misericórdia in Praça Mauá and the foundations of the small Capela da Graça built in 1562 were excavations that brought information about people from different social classes who lived here in the past. Sambaquis from Diana Island. On Diana Island, a place where we can find a unique fishing community from the city's Caiçara culture, there's an archaeological site of Sambaquis, which is a Tupi word that means heap of shells. This sambaquis is dated 4,000 years ago. Shellfish shells were used in the construction of these mountains that stood out in the landscape. In these archaeological sites, food remains were found, as well as marks of dwellings and burials. The sambaqueiros were great fishermen and were spread throughout the Brazilian coast. Engenho dos Erasmos. Another important archaeological site in the city of Santos is the ruins of Engenho dos Erasmos. Built in 1532, it was one of the first sugar factories in Brazil. It was built at the behest of Martim Afonso de Souza, responsible for the colonizing expedition in 1530. The site was also a witness to the masses held by Father José de Anchieta in the chapel dedicated to São Jorge due to his mission of catechization. Archaeological research studied an ancient cemetery, and through DNA tests, it's known that the bones found were indigenous, but among them there were also the bones of an African woman. Quilombos. The history of Santos is also closely linked to Africans, and here lived quilombola groups who played an important role in struggle and freedom. The blacks who left the coffee farms in the countryside of São Paulo state arrived in the city of Santos by train and sometimes walking. The basements of many houses were places of refuge until they could reach the quilombos. The best-known quilombos were Quilombo do Jabaquara, led by Quintino de Lacerda, Quilombo do Pai Felipe, and Quilombo de Santos Garrafão. In these places, they maintained African traditions and practiced resistance in different ways. The magnificent work of archaeology will always surprise us with revelations of fantastic new discoveries every day.